With so many changes that have come on us here in Canada and the policies that have constantly been evolving that have deterred immigrants from coming here to settle in Canada, I feel there are three things that Canada needs to focus more on to make living in Canada enjoyable for immigrants. And when I say living in Canada, I mean all immigrants and those that have been here even for so many years. Make them appreciate that sacrifice that they have put in to come into Canada, leaving all behind, because we know that Canada needs us as immigrants. First, I would say that most immigrants come into Canada with so much qualifications and credentials that it is so shocking that most of these things are not recognized. Can we talk about doctors? Can we talk about engineers? Even those in the professional field, such as the accountants with their CPAs, or even if you want to be an IT professional where you're doing your PMP or PMI, there are so many untransferable credentials that immigrants bring here in Canada. They have sacrificed so much, they have worked their life out, even gaining those credentials, and yet North America do not accept it. These are things that I feel that Canada, the government particularly, need to focus on and make sure these certifications are transferable. Experiences are transferable. Immigrants move to Canada because they say their NOC are in demand. And when their NOCs are in demand and they move here, how come their certifications are not transferable? They still have the experience to do the job, they still have the skills to do the job, they still have all that it takes them to be able to get into the workforce, but yet these credentials stay in the way. And this leads to so much of unemployment in such a way that doctors, engineers, and all these professionals begin to start scratching the ground, starting all over again. Some of them have been doctors back in their countries. Doctors, when I mean doctors, they are doctors that are professionals in their country. They own clinics or they have worked in clinics before. And now they have to start all over again. Start working in care homes, for instance, and start from the process from ground zero. And some of them have to go even to the rural areas where they can build up their skills before they come back to the main cities. These are not expected for trained professionals that have come into Canada to be able to bring their wealth of experience into the workforce. That means Canada should streamline the process of credential recognition and streamline all these pathways so that whatever you have in your country and you have moved here, forget it. They are all professionals. They've moved here. The skills are transferable. What is the paper that is standing in the way? So Canada should be able to streamline this process and make it easy for immigrants to be able to get into the workforce. It is so demotivating and frustrating for immigrants to start from the scratch, and especially when their experiences or their credentials are not recognized where they need to put their feet in the workforce. And yet Canada says there's shortage of labor, they need skilled and trained professionals in these jobs. So why are they making it frustrating for immigrants to be able to get into the workforce when they arrive here in Canada? Also, when we talk about work experience for immigrants, the government of Canada needs to also be able to secure employment for immigrants, because the high rate of unemployment and the high rate of immigrants being let go from their jobs is alarming. It's obvious that immigrants don't have security in their workplaces. They can start jobs with so much high hopes and anticipation of growth, and this gets cut short in the middle because of one policy within the company. Sometimes it will be due to the employers or those that they report to being afraid of them taking their jobs and they are let go. Some of these things are not substantiated because they will not give a valid reason why they have been let go. The government needs to help immigrants secure their jobs in the workplaces and ensure that they don't just get let off the hook without a tangible reason, without a quantifiable reason. It is so unfair, and this is one thing that the government needs to help out in the employment sector across the workforce. The next thing I'll talk about is the pathway from permanent residency into citizenship. Most immigrants come in with temporary visas, either as workers, they are students, or they come in with different pathways as caregivers and different fields to be able to move and then become citizens in a few years. But the transition from their permanent residency into citizenship have been so chaotic, and looking back at the various and unfolding policies that keep changing that has not favored immigrants. There's been unending changes with this pathway, and all of this has become very frustrating and stressful for immigrants, particularly even understanding what is meant to be part-time. Every now and then there's always a change in the policy, there's always a change with the students applications or how they've come into Canada, or even those that are coming as visitors, or those that are here as temporary workers, or those that are here as international students. There's always one change or the other that makes it so confusing for everybody. And then they look at the pathway for them being longer or even being cut short because of these policies. So these are the things that the government of Canada need to focus on and streamline, so that immigrants are not left in limbo. They are not making unnecessary expenses on the applications and yet being denied or being sent back home. Well, if it's their fault, we understand, but sometimes these changes come up because there are policies with the government or things that are going on that we cannot even understand, and they come back to affect those that are coming as visitors or those that are coming as temporary workers, and their plans to become permanent residents or a citizen is actually cut short. We need stability with these policies. We need the government to be able to chart out a pathway that is stable, that is consistent, that everybody knows. If you are going to ask immigrants to come into Canada, please make it simple, make it clear, make it stable, make the policy understandable for everybody. As immigrants begin to expend resources to this particular project, it makes it difficult for them to focus on other things in their life, and then with sudden changes it destabilizes immigrants. So the government needs to focus more on stability for these programs and make sure that over time, before you begin to change things across all the pathways, make sure that it is sustainable, it is achievable, it is attainable, it has a length of time attached to each of the programs, so that a lot of people are more stable with their plans, and then they know that because they are coming to Canada as a student, they have already a timeline in view for them to complete this program and be assured that they will get to citizenship. But so many people come with the fear of, let me just come, and because they don't know the end result, they don't know whether they are going to complete their program, they don't know whether there will be some programs or some policies that will change that program in the middle of their program. This brings fear, this brings frustration for immigrants, which the government needs to support immigrants in this particular aspect. We all know that one of the main things that immigrants need when they move abroad is housing. And oh my God, let's just say that this cost rises by the hour. It is so alarming that even in some cities like Ontario, they bid for houses if you have to buy property. And even if you want to rent as an immigrant, it's becoming so unaffordable that immigrants are considering shared apartments or shared places for them to be able to lay their head and be able to afford those bills. The government needs to make this affordable for immigrants, because this becomes so difficult for immigrants or newcomers to settle in a new country. Apart from the high cost of accommodation and the bidding or war that goes on with buying property, it could also be discriminating against immigrants when they are searching for their own homes. Sometimes immigrants are being denied of this accommodation with no reason. When they fill out forms, they don't hear back, and you see other people get these homes. Canada needs policies that help to embrace immigrants with all their needs. In fact, immigrants should be the top in the priority, because they are moving from a known country to an unknown country, and settling for them should be priority, meaning that you make it easy for them to find accommodation, to find jobs that suits their experiences. You make it easy for them to be able to integrate better as immigrants. But when it comes to giving so much to receive just a little, it becomes a concern for immigrants, and they wonder, why did I make that move? Affordable homes is what newcomers need, and that is what gives them safety, that gives them security in the new country that they move to. So these are some of the policies that I feel the government of Canada needs to focus on. I know there are so many other things that will make life easy for immigrants to settle down, but these are some of the things that I think I should flag here. And if you have any other things that you know that are pertinent as immigrants, or things that have made you suffer as an immigrant here in Canada, please put in the comment section. Let's talk about it, so that these things can be a priority for immigrants with the government of Canada when they are looking to bring in immigrants into the country as those policies begin to unfold. So we don't want Canada to just be a destination for immigrants. We want it to be a genuine and a true home for every one of us. And that's why integration and being able to have that comfort of life, the security that we are all craving for as immigrants, would make Canada be our home indeed, and a place where we can thrive, use our skills, and begin to embrace the culture and also share our own culture within the community that we find ourselves. So I'm going to close on these 3 points. If you have any more, please put in the comment section and let the conversation continue. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next vlog. See you soon. Bye guys.